Hello. So the international break is over and it's back to La Liga. And here's Luis Enrique with his press conference ahead of tomorrow's game with Rayo Vallecano. First question is about Villanovense, who Barca will be playing in the Copa del Rey. Well, I can't say much because we've only just heard the draw, so we'll be looking for more information and we can start thinking about that game in the week when we have to play that game. But at the moment, the important thing is tomorrow. He's just organising a cameraman that's causing some disturbance.
Xavi Campos de Catalunya Ràdio i Catalunya Informació. L'any passat contra el Rayo en els dos partits vas utilitzar a Xavi i a Iniesta com a interiors a
You used Xavi and Iniesta in the middle of defence against Rayo in both games last season, and you can't use that plan tomorrow. So what plan do you have for centre of midfield tomorrow? Well, yes, you've just said that unfortunately neither of those two players can play tomorrow. And it's impossible to find the same because those are such exceptional players that very rarely lose the ball. Andres is a player that tips the balance in the one-on-one. So yes, I have to find other solutions, other players of other characteristics. What we do know is that Rayo are going to present the same kind of problems as last season. They're a team that don't let you relax on the ball for a single moment during the game. We found that last year, both home and away. Asking about Mascherano, who's been used a lot this season, and he also played 2 games for Argentina. Whether this might be time to give Mascherano a rest. There are other players in his situation. Busquets also has played a lot of games. They're very important to our play and system, but I do need to find moments to rest them. But because of different circumstances, I haven't been able to do that. We know the season lasts for 10 months. And we need to have the players ready for the most important times, especially the run-in to the end of the season. So we'll have to try to find something, but we don't have much margin for error. I would love it for the players to have got a lot of rest, but that's not the situation. We understand that. Luis Suarez has been training with the group. Is he ready to play tomorrow? He's 100% fit, so he's there. Asking about Messi, because people want him back for the Clásico. Argentina fans want him for the game with Brazil. So could you ask whether he's going to go back to his country for recovery? I want him to recover properly and well. That's what I'm most concerned about. Not for him to be ready in time for any certain game, but for him to get back to 100% fitness.
A mí me gustaría preguntarte por los otros que no han estado hasta ahora, no han podido jugar porque estaban lesionados.
Asking about Vermaelen, Adriano, the injured players and what their situation is like, and also Iniesta and Rafinha. Oh, that's a lot of people you're asking about. Woof. They've all trained, so they're in different stages of their recovery. And this is more or less at the end of his recovery. Who else did you ask about? Rafinha, he's still early in his recovery.
Hola, Luis. Xavi Lema, TV3. ¿A qué está aturada la Lliga?
Talking about the international break.
Tu personalment de cara a l'equip t'ha anat bé per poder recuperar algun d'aquests jugadors que s'han pogut quedar aquí o consideres que tenint en compte que ara...
Is this a time to use some of the players that have stayed here, or do you think in some ways it's a benefit the players that are on international duties, they're still in the match playing rhythm? If you could interpret things as you want, well, the international players, because they're such good players, play for their countries, so there's advantages and disadvantages. If that's better or worse, who knows? Those are typical situations that we have to deal with. You can't really work on a collective basis with so many of the squad missing, but that's how the fixture list works, and as coaches we need to adapt to those situations, do the best we can. The clubs that have less internationals, obviously they are in better condition and train during international breaks, but hey, that's the way things go. There's nothing I can really do to change these things. You have to accept it. I had to do this when I was a player. I went off to play for my country and then came back. For 8 or 9 days, you're out of the normal dynamic of the club, you're playing for your country, and you have to come back and switch back into club mode. Talking about whether Barca are going to be asking the Argentinian Federation not to put too much pressure on Messi to be ready in time for the big game with Brazil. These are things I don't really know about. I've not been heard about that, but I'm sure that the AFA and Barca are both primarily concerned about Messi being 100% fit. Tata Martino, I'm sure, also wants him to fully recover, and we're looking for what's in the best interest of Messi himself.
Evidentemente nos lo ha hecho repetidamente que a veces te condiciona los minutos que han jugado unos y otros.
You've talked about how you're conditioned by how much players play, depending on how much they played internationals. Mascherano and Busquets have been playing, so what are your doubts concerning this coming into the international break, whether you should play players that are in the rhythm or to use your bench? Well, we had this last season. You need to balance out the workloads the players are having, those who are playing more, those who are playing less, and your team around that. You need to worry about the workload of minutes that the players are picking up. But also there are certain positions. If I've only got 2 central midfielders, then I have to play those 2 central midfielders. You need to play the players in their relevant positions. So I always try to turn the situation into something positive for the team.
Alfredo Martínez, Onda Cero. Cambiar totalmente de tema. En los últimos días, Vicente del Bosque ha insinuado su posible marcha como seleccionador.
Vicente del Bosque has been insinuating that he's going to be stepping down as Spain manager. Is that something that Luis Enrique would like to be, manager of Spain? Because his name has been mentioned in the press as a possibility. Yes, I would like to manage Spain.
Hola, buenos días. Joan, Mundo Deportivo. Dada la situación que has comentado de Busquets, Mascherano y también Rakitic.
Talking about Busquets, Mascherano, Rakitic, and accumulation of playing time. Does this mean there's a chance for Gumbau, Ampera, the B team players to get a chance? That's possible, no doubt. That's why we bring B team players forward with an eye to using them. But we need to put them on the right stage, not put too much pressure on them, so let them build up minutes without an exact. Sometimes it's an option, sometimes it isn't. It depends on different team matters.
Tony López de La Vanguardia. Al hilo de este comentario que has hecho, la primera fase de la temporada empezó con partidos muy exigentes.
Talking about a very demanding start to the season, and until the next international break, it's perhaps in theory an easier fixture list.
Que puede valer esta fase para hacer acopio de energía, un poco de.
Is this a time to regain energy, to make changes with an eye to improvements? On paper, they're simpler games. But in football, easy games don't happen. Last season, we lost games that we could on paper have said were easier games. That's not the way football works. Over time and over weeks, we need the points from these games in the league and in the Champions League, also in the Cup. And in January, we know that our 2 new signings will be able to play. And we hope that the team can build up confidence through good results and good play and reach the end of the season with options to compete for all the different titles at stake.
Hola, Núria Casas, de 8 al dia. El club ja t'ha informat de la seva situació econòmica per tal de deixar de pensar en fitxatges d'hivern?
Talking about the funding that the club might have for signings in the winter transfer window. No, that's not something that we've talked about. It's something we do need to talk about. We will talk about shortly, but we haven't spoken about it yet.
Hay tantas bajas y que la plantilla se ha quedado corta.
Talk about injuries and the squad perhaps being limited at the moment, and whether it would be an idea to sign players in January. Well, of course, I'm not going to make any of this public. That would be non-professional. We need to keep certain things private. But in summer, we were already looking at different possibilities and different options.
Luis, Enzo Olivera para Gol TV Latinoamérica. Quiero sacarte un poquito del Barça y preguntarte, porque nos interesa mucho tu opinión y porque sé que te gusta mucho el fútbol y también el fútbol sudamericano. Si viste algo de las eliminatorias, tienes sudamericanos en tu equipo.
It's a South American reporter basically wanting to ask about the World Cup qualifiers. And if you could make general comment about Chile, Uruguay, Argentina, and Brazil, what's he seen, what's he learned, what can he share? I didn't see any of the games. I'm sorry. I didn't see any of them. I know the results, of course, but I didn't see any of the games that you're talking about them.
Sí, Jordi, del diario El País. Quisiera preguntarle por Munir, que da la sensación de que
asking about Munir.
No sé si usted también lo ve así.
No, veo a Munir y a Sandro en la misma.
Munir and Sandro, I think the same as ever. They're very young players, very quality players with great futures, but still have to do their little bit gradually. It's a different situation for them now. They're perhaps getting more time than perhaps could have been expected, but because of certain circumstances, I think that they're looking very good. They're participating with the team in attack. Neither of them have scored this season, but I'm not too concerned about that. I think they're doing very well and have the ability to do a lot more for the team in the future. Rayo, a team that likes to play the ball. So is it particularly important tomorrow to win the possession battle? Yes, it is. If we don't hold the possession, this is a team that can create difficulties for us. If we have more possession against Rayo, then we'll have more chances to score goals. And that's the idea that we have. It's also very important that our defence is able to soak up the pressure that they create and to limit the amount of errors they make. It's always an uncomfortable game against Rayo.
Hola, Winston para Vince por Estados Unidos. Has dicho antes que el tema del calendario no lo puedes controlar.
You said you can't change the fixture list. You do have players that are playing a lot of games. But there are other players that have been getting some rest. Suarez and Neymar, for example, did not play for their national teams. So that's a positive note. For me, as a Barca manager, and for the players too, they want to play for their national teams, but they didn't. So for me, it's been quite good to have them here training and not having such a heavy workload, having 2 very comfortable weeks. It's not something that they're used to, and for me, it's done them a lot of good. They've been playing a lot of games. We
Sí, Luis, Josep Soldado del Sexta A3 Media. Ayer Raúl González anunció que en noviembre...
Raúl González, who's announced that he's officially retiring from football.
Con el que jugaste,
and Luis Enrique, somebody who played with him and played against him.
Bueno, pues que pasa el tiempo desgraciadamente para todos.
Well, unfortunately, time goes by for all of us, and players like Raúl, who have had an era in football, in Spanish football. Unfortunately, the time comes for them to retire.
Ambientes del fútbol, otras fases del fútbol y bueno, estoy seguro que seguirá vinculado al fútbol porque
I'm sure that he'll always remain associated to the game. He loves this sport.
Una persona con la que se puede contar
and he's somebody who I think we can always count on and who will always have something to contribute. I've enjoyed his last few months playing, and if we see him perhaps on the benches or in some other position in the football world,
Hola Luis,
he'll be welcome.
David Ibáñez de Mediaset Sport. Esta mañana ha dicho Rafa Benítez que hay parte de la prensa que se inventa polémicas
Rafa
para desestabilizar al Real
Benítez
Madrid.
thinks that the press is trying to destabilize Real Madrid. Do you agree with what he said, and is the same true of Barcelona? He's what? About Madrid. Wow.
¿Estás contento con la prensa?
Oh, I love the press.
Te lo agradezco.
I love the press. There's nothing I love more.
Hola, mister.
Detect a note of sarcasm there, perhaps.
Dijo el otro día Dani Alves que Pedro se equivocó marchándose el Barça. Lo dijo, no sé si son palabras concretas.
Dani Alves has made comments about Pedro and in England,
¿Estás de acuerdo?
and how it's a shame. It was a shame that he left Barca. How much you miss Pedro?
Bueno, sería ahora muy partidista decir esto.
It would be very biased for me to say something. Look, we know what the situation was with Pedro. We had to understand it. We do understand it. It's logical he wanted to play more. And over the course of his career, he has to make decisions. Now, looking at the situation, perhaps he might have made a different decision. I don't know. But we're very happy with his attitude that he had when he was here, his performances, and all we can wish for is the very best for him to triumph wherever he is. We know he'll always have Barca in his heart, and this will always be home. It's not a question of missing him, that's just what life in football is like. He made a decision, we have to accept that.
Desde ayer llegaba de Brasil la noticia de que el Santos hizo una petición a la FIFA
Story
para
about
que
Santos,
6 meses sin poder jugar.
who have made demand that Neymar should be banned for 6 months. Oh, 6 years! Come on, why 6 months? Come on! Why stop there? Yeah, they can ask for whatever they want. Santos have asked for that, have they? Oh, well, there you go. I finished that saying. No more to say on that comment. Again, he was joking. 11 years since Messi made his debut against Espanyol in the Olympic Stadium. Do you have any special message for Leo Messi? Oh, God. I don't have that much in the way of memories. There have been incredible goals, some that have won titles, but in general, I'm just going to comment on the satisfaction and the pleasure of a player like him being at Barca for 11 years, and still so many years Barca fans to enjoy of Messi. And we haven't got him at the moment, and you can see, look, we're so keen for him to come back and play again. Okay, thank you very much. The squad will be announced tomorrow morning for the game with Rayo Vallecano. It's at 8:30 Central European Time.